is one of the really easy domain models to do the CRUD operations. I have a complex one. I will show you later how complex the next one. So this is the CRUD operation. Just you simply call you implement your interface that we define here. So all interface you implement here, you class and methods, and you define your respective the the repository call find one, find all, and then delete a repository, delete one, and pass to your delete objects with that one. So you get it find one at least, and then pass this ID, and then delete the record from the database. And this is the test I will show you later how the test works for the different packages. See the text, three packages for this one microservice, this is another microservice, this is another microservice for other cases, and this is the test cases. So update operation. So we get the pictures like you have domains, you have defined your repository, and you define your interface, your service interface, and implement the service interface, and call your repository and implement your functionality. It is very simple, very straightforward. If you are systematic, it is very simple. It's take only week understand 1 week understand to the complete structure. It doesn't matter if students or very beginner. It is very clear and very understandable. It is really very friendly developments. Just you need to take care the annotations, how the project structure build, and how it works. So let's have a talk about a little bit other models, the other two models. It has a more complex functionalities. Gets the user registrations. So it has, if you look for the user registration models, the serializer with that one, it has a call, and then it has a user registration itself, the primary key, and it has address ID with some GUID, and it has own first name, last name, middle name, and so on, so off, so forth. When the user created, when the updated, and the mail address, phone number, mobile number, and URL. And it has a relationship between every user has a multiple role. Doesn't matter. Means maybe one user has an executive office role or admin role, or maybe just he has a desktop office role. That means this is clearly defined how when your system logged in and he have a control, okay, this application, this user has a possibility to see this part of the application. That's I mean when this user logged in, let's say logged in user XXY, he has only possibility to look for the maybe the building part or plot part or building part, floor part. He has no possibility to see the unit part. That's why I say this is the enterprise application as based on the content management systems. So that's why the really professionally designed application. So the registration has their own information, the models has own information, it has a role of information, the multiple user have a one to many related role. You can look for this one, these annotations, but it has just like one user have multiple role annotation. If I go to the role models, a role has a role itself has a model, so role ID, role reference number, and role name or role types means the what type of role he has or they have or he or she had, and this is the when the role created, when the role modified. That means when applications, this is two part, really important part, the registration part. Every user need to register. When their registration is done, then this register ID or the register number has to be injected or has to be communicate with the other part of the other microservices. That means you have a registered, they logged in the user, and then the user ID has to pick up or username has to pick up to control the other part of the application, this part, and even though this part of the applications. That's the architecture or process or relationship models. And then it has the user registration has a set sets. It has a geometry information. This is a more complex one. So it has a geometry. That means you try to register every user geographically, which city he is living. You can see the information into the maps, and you can manipulate it and how the user is registered. Maybe if this application is not using the city planner or city engineer or city governments, maybe the bank companies try to use this application. That means they have a specific location, the banks or insurance, and or then they can distribute, or they distribute their services within the geographical boundaries. That's why the importance to get it, the geometrical information of where exactly their customer located or where their customer is distributed. They can graphically and maps, they can see it, and within these maps or graphically they can build, they make plans how they can optimize their services. They can really closely come up to the door-to-door level application or door-to-door level service level. They can, if you have those information. So that's why I said if this application, enterprise application, is come up with the geo functionality and non-geo functionalities. Then this the enterprise application, how the Google works, the geo and non-geo functionalities. So it's embedded. There's some embedded part of the geometry data. So you see the geometry embedded, and it has all information, the city, country, and then this is the relationship about the. So that means one user has multiple roles, and then the user has many has one to many geometry information. Maybe this user has registered 5 house addresses like a summer house or winter house or other house, or their business address or their residential address. That's why I'm like design it like one to many. So that means maybe they have only one, doesn't matter, but one to many possibility. That means the customer has all possibility, doesn't matter how many address he tried to register against his registration process. That's I mean. That's why this is really professional to think about this, how the linking and modeling and mapping between the objects or your domains. So that means in the user registration, if I go to we define user registration repository, every repository, JPA repository, very simple. We define our service interface, very simple. The CRUD operations, I didn't finish it yet, but it's the simply CRUD operation to read, update, delete, and then and save the models. And it has its own implementation, exactly the same implementation that we already talk about the address object or object domain models. So simply there's more extension for the functionalities. I will show you later other complex functionalities, and then you can do it. But it is not finished yet. But we started the implementation one by one. That's one. I will give it to you when I finish this. Then I will put it the Git big bucket or GitHub. There's all source code will be there. You can download it. You can integrate it and look for that one when they finish it, the projects. The big bucket, GitHub is the same name, UVSoftGroup. You can look for that one in my page, and there is a page in the information where the resources is located. Here is the location, this is group, and the big bucket resources. You can look for that one. So, and this is the registrations implementation. So we define our registration models. We define all the relationships among the between or among the user roles, and the geometry is located. And then we define our repository, and we define our own interface and implement the interfaces with calling the respective repositories. That's the idea. So if I go to our second domain models, it is the domain models, the user role. I can go there. You see the simply domain is independent because we are thinking about the single page applications. If someone said, okay, we just put it like one page for the user registration, that's I have it in the TypeScript. You see here these applications has on address information itself. There is no additional informations. So it has registered the address, and it has picked the address ID and put it address. They registered the geometries, all the geometry information, how many geometry has, and then he put it the user ID, the address ID in here, the single page application. That's I mean, and even though the role information. That means a single page application, even though possible to one by one single page application to build it, depending how the customer look like. Maybe customer said, okay, we will use a registration, we can put it here multiple user address and even the user role this here. So you can edit, delete, and update it. This one, depending how you font and design, how the customer look like to see the specification that you requirement it is depending. That's why I'm designed like single page application is possible out of this one, even though in the not single page application like you have a really big web pages, you can have a single page